Hey everybody, welcome to episode 149 of the Bonehead podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. And jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. BT, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good, thank you. Old school, two of us.
Yeah, man. The oldest school would be like sitting around a kitchen table with mics, recording into an iPhone, which I think we dragged you were involved in a couple of those episodes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember going to your house. I remember giving you this microphone for a bit.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it was ever used.
I don't think I ever used it.
Like, hey, give it a go. Give it a go. I was already like doing my insufferable technology in like
Ben's like
interjection.
Audio. We need good audio. We need good audio. But no, other than podcasting and audio stuff, Ben, what are we talking about today?
Big news: the Chaos Dwarf roster. Like we finally got it, as in leaked. But we finally have seen it, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Not what I thought, really.
Yeah, no, Ben is bang on. Today we are just going to be talking Dwarfs. If you follow the channel over the weekend, you would have seen we dropped a few videos, and if you are tangentially related to Blood Bowl, you would have seen a whole bunch of people's opinions bandied about. So we thought we'd pile on and join in. So without further ado, let's jump into Dwarfs. Okay, so Dwarfs, like Ben said, have landed. And the good news is we've got Ben here. The bad news is we don't have Trips because it's either work or Peanut at the moment. He's a very busy man.
Peanut's his dog.
Yes. I think people know that. He was on the Peanut, she was on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, she was. Yeah, of course. Sorry, it's not like a pet name, right?
No.
Well, it is a pet name.
No, that would be me. Yeah, we need a new pet name for Milton. Oh my God, Sideshow Milt. We've been watching The Simpsons, and obviously Sideshow Bob is always in prison. Milton's not
very
here.
Similar people. Yeah.
Very similar people. Yes, they are both Kelsey Grammer. Which again, I didn't realise either until I was watching The Simpsons. I was like, yeah.
Hey, yeah, wait, what?
Well,
is it?
I watched The Simpsons as like a kid when it was on at 6 and 6:20 on BBC Two, right? And then
obviously after Weakest Link, I think.
Yeah, and then it stopped for me. Like I didn't watch Simpsons for years, and then it's on Disney Plus, and I was watching it back, and I was like, oh my God, that's Frasier. And Tiff was like, yeah, man. And then his brother's in an episode, and it's actually played by Niles. I was like,
is it?
Yeah. I was like, that's
okay. I didn't. That's a bit of trivia. I didn't know that.
It's so good. It's so good. But then again, I also didn't know that Buzz Lightyear was Tim Allen until
I did know that one.
Toy Story 4. I was like, sounds like Santa Claus, doesn't it? Tiff was like, that's him. I was like, oh man, Tim the Tool Man.
Wait till you find out that Woody is Tom Hanks.
That one crazy. I did know. But yeah. Anyway, Milton's not here. Couldn't make it. Trips couldn't make it, but that's okay because Ben actually ran Dwarfs quite a bit, right? You've played against them a lot, and also you ran them for at least one season in the league in the old version.
Yeah, I did do a league with them. Yeah. Yeah, no, I like them because they're dwarves, and dwarves are fun for lore. People like dwarves, but they're a little bit.
Really wondered where you were going with that.
Well, okay, yeah, true.
I like them because dwarves are fun.
It was just it was just a nice way to play like a dwarf team that didn't feel quite as oppressive in a league as the dwarf team. So yeah, I like the theme of them. I think they're really fun. I like them in like old Warhammer as well.
Big hats.
But so they were attractive for that reason. Plus chaos,
Yeah,
yeah, like they felt very good. I didn't really enjoy the league I played with them that much, just because some games they just really did feel unfair, and it just wasn't very fun. It was like I like teams where you can sort of stretch and you can run it. You can win games 3-2 if you need, like with Skaven and stuff. Like those are more dynamic and fun. Dwarves are like, okay, let's 2-1 this one again or whatever, and it was just. Bull Centaurs are good. I like to carry the ball on the Bull Centaur for that reason, even though it's wrong. But yeah, how's my experience with them?
I played them. I've played Chaos Dwarfs before, but like they never massively gelled with me, and I think it was a thematic reason. I love the way the team is built together. And was it a thematic reason, or was it just because I can't find hobgoblin models I like? Well, now they have. I really like the Games Workshop team. The models are good. I guess a couple of full disclosure bits. Couldn't get a hand on the Bull Centaurs, so I actually went to buy Forge World stuff from Games Workshop and couldn't get my hands on it. So that's...
I don't know why they did it. Why just... should have been a plastic sprue.
They've been doing such a good job of making everything available. Or they've been trying to. I suppose when... well, actually, I suppose only one star player for Gnomes is still out.
Yeah.
Because Roanna...
Can you get him?
Well, Fisherman.
Roanna's not even out.
Roanna's not out. I don't think we've even seen the model yet, but Pungas is out and everywhere. And yeah, the Chorfs. So, Games Workshop team will have a couple of 3D printed Chaos Dwarfs and definitely a 3D printed Minotaur, because, well, Brute Fun just does an awesome Minotaur. So
it's a great one.
Yeah, that was never going to be.
It's not £70.
No, exactly. So yeah, I tried to buy that. I did get hold of the pitch though, because I like the pitch. I know it's a little bit simplistic, but I really like it, and I think it's going to look very good on stream.
Yes.
All set up for the final tonight.
It looks like a gutter bowl pitch, kind of, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Because it had. Yeah, because it's got like the...
On the reverse bit, you've got like 4 patches, which is going to be interesting. It would be very cool if those patches were there because of Gutterball. I'm assuming they're not, but...
Probably in the spike, there's a rule, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's probably some pitch thing in the spike.
Yeah, so we don't have our hands on the spike, and the reviews of the weekend, the videos that there didn't seem to be very many out on the internet, and they weren't very good. So even the GMG one, I love watching Ash's stuff, but this time he didn't show any of it. Just show.
Okay.
I was like, oh come on, bro! Like, you've got to put it out so that we can screen grab it. So like the extra bits for like the pitch and stuff like that, we haven't fully seen, but we have seen the roster for Chaos Dwarves. So I think we'll just talk through that, Ben.
Yes, interesting.
Very.
I think, yeah, I've definitely seen some very divisive things on this.
So yeah,
where do you want to start?
I was going to say, it started off, the models landed, and most people were like, these are really good, or I've already got Chaos Dwarves. So it felt like those were the only 2 teams, like, I've already got some, or these look great. And then the roster dropped. So 0 to 16 Hobgoblins, 0 to 4 Chaos Dwarf blockers, 0 to 2 Bull Centaurs, 0 to 1 Minotaur, and then you got the new positionals, the Flamesmith and the Sneaky Stabber. Hobgoblins haven't changed at all. Centaurs haven't changed at all, except that they can get mutations on a double. The Minotaur has changed slightly. It used to be an enslaved Minotaur with animal savagery. Now it's wild.
Yes.
No, it's unchanneled fury instead. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Chaos Dwarf
I think
player?
that's strictly worse. I was really hoping they wouldn't change that. Like, I think unchanneled fury in general, I think can be better, especially if you're playing like a slow kind of grindy control team. Like on Khorne, it's really good because you're never really like taken out of play. Like, you can have your big guy at the front, and if he fails to activate, he's still there. Like, he's not leaving his tackle zone. But Chaos Dwarfs loved animal savagery because they're armor 10, and especially now with the new skill change, like they could just take it. Like, your Minotaur would always be so reliable because he can just punch a dwarf, and the dwarf can get back up again and move that 1 square. And it was kind of not really changing their game plan.
And also you have Hobgoblins who are 40k a piece, so like you've got people who it's not the worst thing in the world. So of those,
like Rat Ogres on Skaven, it can be quite destructive.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's always worth it. So when it comes to both those skills, do either of them leave them boneheaded with no tackle zones?
No. So, no, what the animal savagery does, if you can't hit someone, you lose your tackle zone. So if they're taken out of position and you try and move and you have no one to hit, or you blitz, you've got no one to hit, you will lose your tackle zone and bonehead.
But this one,
the Unchanneled Fury is really good. It's good defensive because like you put block on a big guy in a tournament, he's never like boneheading and losing that. So you've always got that defensive block. So like in that, like a block Minotaur now might be quite good because they're going to be harder to remove if they fail.
Yep.
But I just think the reliability of like knowing your strength 6 guy can blitz was huge and very, very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if they've changed it so they can make the Minotaur the same for everybody, like fair enough. Like fair enough. It's weird. It's like the whole rest of the team, which we'll come to in a second, has been made less reliable. but the Minotaur has sort of been made more reliable in that, like you said, you can't lose your tackle zones. It's not going to destroy a team, but I don't know. I really did enjoy the fact that it was the best Minotaur. It was the best big guy, I think.
Oh,
out there.
for sure, yeah.
Right,
A team that loved having it on it.
Yeah.
Like, it would just work really well. And yeah, it's a nice skill because you can reposition the big guy as well. That's like a huge thing. Like with a team like Khorne, where you've got your Bloodspawn, if he like fails one of the blitzers or whatever, and he's not moving, and you fail those 4+ to move him, it gets really bad. Like, yeah, granted, you can roll that 4+ and not lose anything. Like, if you know you're not blitzing with that guy, you can just be like, I'll just move him as like a beginning activation, and there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But it can be very, very punishing if he is stranded back and he is not progressing, and you're having to blitz him just to get him into play, and you're losing that. Like that's where it becomes quite challenging, and I think Chaos Dwarves might end up struggling with that a bit.
Well, they're not the fastest of teams, so
No, that is true.
there's every chance they won't get left all the way behind. So within the team, there are 2 new positionals. The first one is the Chaos Dwarf Flamesmith. I can't be bothered to grab a picture, but he's the one drinking flame liquid. So the Flamesmith has replaced 2 of the Chaos Dwarf blockers. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's start with Chaos Dwarf blocker, because that's a big change. They've now got Ironhard skin instead of tackle. So Ironhard skin still is going to be FAQ'd, but basically it is nothing can affect its armor. There's a couple of questions. One of them is do assists on fouling give that modifier to it, and if for like Mighty Blow, if you break the armor naturally, can Mighty Blow carry over? Like, there's a few clarifications, but basically the Chaos Dwarf blockers are going to be armor 10+ forever, and they have thick skull. But the question is that, or at least what's the impact of that being traded for tackle then?
It's not worth it. It's nice. It's not, if you're going strictly like which is better, block tackle is better. Like, you're just killing so much more stuff in the game with that, which is what dwarves need to do to catch up, because they're never going to outspeed and outscore the other team. However, I do think it's healthier and more interesting, because block tackle dwarves are not popular. Are they?
The word, Bryden, is egregious.
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. It's like tackle is a skill worth taking. So having it basically free rolled on your dwarf at the beginning is fantastic. Like, they've got block, which makes their survivability brilliant, and they just get free rolled tackle, which means your opponent can't escape them, or at least just adds that extra risk. Like you said, though, I do like it for playability reasons. Like, Chaos Dwarfs, as cool as their individual parts are, historically tended to be quite formulaic, I think is probably the way to say it, because they really only had 2 positionals, which was Chaos Dwarfs and one of the other things on your team. That was it. Otherwise, it was just that was the entire makeup of the team. So I don't mind them losing tackle. It is, like you said, it is a definite negative. Like, they're going to lose some percentage points. But they were a top performing team, so them being toned down a little bit is fine, right? But they've not only lost tackle, they've lost 2 of the Chaos Dwarf blockers. So now they can get 4 blockers and 2 Flamesmiths. Let's go back to the other screen. So the Flamesmiths are basically, well, this is it, because they don't have iron skin. I thought they did have Ironhard skin, but they actually don't. So they're movement 5.
Yeah, I thought they would.
They're movement 5 Chorfs, without block, without Ironhard, but they've got Brawler, Breathe Fire, and Disturbing Presence instead. So block for Brawler and a movement, Ben. What's your thought on that one?
I think you're only taking this for extra movement on a dwarf, potentially, because the skill access is the same as well, right? It's not like they're getting passing or something.
Nope. There's no passing access on this entire team.
Yeah. So, do we have the reroll cost as well? Because I was going to say that would have been a big
stayed at 70.
Yeah, so yeah, if you had a leader access, that would be a pretty good reason to take it. But they feel clunky, and I think you're right with like the losing Ironhard skin. I think that's just a bit confusing. So you're going to have to remember that this dwarf doesn't have the Ironhard skin. Well, same armor, but you can modify
articles, right? The articles dropped and they were like, all Chaos Dwarves have got armor of 1 billion. And it's like, no, literally 4 of them do. Like, half the team, half of the Chaos Dwarves on the team have it. Like, because you've got the bull
Yeah.
centaurs as well, which don't have it too. So it's like, so it's just the Chaos Dwarf blockers, which is fine. So yeah, extra movement for the Flamesmith instead of block and giving them brawler instead is again another nerf. I don't mind it. I actually really like the breathe fire power, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's like it's certainly not OP. So the breathe fire trait, once per activation, instead of performing a block action on its own as part of a blitz, this player may perform breathe fire. When a player makes a breathe fire special action, they may choose once. So basically, when you would roll block dice with this guy, with the flame boys, you can breathe fire instead. You roll a dice on a natural 6, you knock them down, which includes armor. On a 4+, they go prone with no armor. On a 2-3, nothing happens, and on a 1, you hit yourself, knock down, which is a turnover and armor, and it's a -1 if you're shooting a big guy on strength 5 or more. So, but a natural 6 is always going to knock them down. So big guy, 5 or 6, and a 1 or 2 is going to take you out. Everybody else, 1 takes you out, and a 4+ takes them out if they're a ball carrier on a corner of a cage or something. Like, mathematically speaking, I haven't done it yet because I'm going to be doing this on a theory Thursday, definitely. It feels like just an option. There are going to be some times where taking the 2-die block with brawler will be better. There'll be some times where taking a 1-die block with block would have been better, and there are going to be some times where breathing fire is going to be better for you. So it's weird because you've got like block to brawler is a massive downgrade on a strength 3 piece. I like brawler on strength 4 because you've got 2 dice, and sometimes that becomes a 3-die block basically. But like, that's quite a nerf on a strength 3 piece because you're not often getting 2 dice.
There is the other angle, though, in the sense that Chaos Dwarf is one of these teams which will have generally a lot of guard at some point.
Yes.
And at that point, Brawler does become a bit better, but then also Breathe Fire becomes a bit worse because I think your guard is going to be there and you can sort of take those blocks anyway. And yeah, it's I don't know. Carry on. I think
I like it. No, I like it. Like, so it's basically like, right, we're going to make you a bit worse, but we're going to give you choices to make, because I think when I said like dwarfs, chaos dwarfs in the old times were a bit formulaic, playing against any team that's got a lot of block, like you said, Ben, builds up a lot of guard. Block guard spam on the line is just miserable. It's just not fun to play against. And Games Workshop are trying to build a game that's actually fun, where you're making choices, your opponent's making choices, and you're engaged in the game. Just like a guard is so useful, and it is absolutely valid and the right thing to do to brew up a guard pit of hell for your opponent. It's absolutely the right thing to do, but making it more challenging or making it, you know, less brutal, while giving you something that in some cases is going to be significantly better. Ben and I are playing. Ben's given his bull centaur the ball. I'm like, cool, I've got a strength 3 brawler guy. He's going to do nothing against him. Actually, I'll just put my red hat for Mario on, pop over, and 4+ knock him down. And the ball's loose. And that's,
yeah.
I mean, a 4+ to knock the ball loose. All right, team rerolls are 70k, but with a team reroll, that's a 75% chance of 5 squares. Your guy, if he can get access to a ball carrier, for the most part, unless someone is carrying the ball with strength 5, which really is only if your opponent randomly rolls a 6 on a bouncing ball, or if they're taking Luther. Every other time, it's 4+, the ball comes out, which is never bad maths. I think. And also, you know, you've got that 4+, that player goes down on the side, which, and this is where it comes in, if you had block and it was a 1-die block and they didn't have any skills, it's already a 4+. And the push counts. So that's where it's going to get, like, the maths of it are going to be like, this is worse, but it gives you choices, and I think I'm okay with them toning it down to give you more choices.
Yeah, I think some people I've seen are sort of less keen about like the adding these new niche skills, but I think I enjoy it. I think it adds flavor to a team. I quite like these like traits that like certain players get. I think it's not. I mean, yeah, it's Games Workshop, so we've got like an essay here to describe the rule, but it's not actually that complicated.
It's very succinctly written as well. You can figure out everything you need to.
You need to read it once, and you'll get the idea of it.
Yeah,
yeah. But it's like I don't think it's that complicated. And I think you're right. It's a fun option. I would like to see how often it gets used. In my mind, I'm not thinking it's going to be that popular or isn't that common, but I would like to see those games where like a war dancer gets like obliterated by fireball by like, you know, a breath of fire or something.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Because against Blodge, it's better than like
yeah.
well, I guess they don't. I'm assuming they have lost their tackles.
It's like an extra card up your sleeve is how I see it. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
It is just like every now and again having access to this to just be like 4+, I knock you down, like is going to be really, really, really useful. And the funny thing is, I think there's going to be a lot of time where your opponent forgets about it, because they're like, right, I've got this guy with supporting. That's 2 dice with brawler. Okay, yeah, re-roll the both down. Fine. Here's a power. Merry life. That guy's pretending to be a Chaos Dwarf blocker, but every now and again you're gonna be like, oh no, he's actually got 5 squares, and now he can shoot fire. So it's like you said, Ben. I think it's strictly worse, but I think it's trading off and adding a bit more interest, which definitely seems to be what they did with Norse and with Amazons and with vampires. Like they're just going for the view of like, this is more playable, this is a more playability, which is fine. So the 2 flamesmiths, all right. Then you've got the sneaky stabbers. I love the idea of hobgoblins with stabbers. Unfortunately, I hate the idea of them being 70k with no better skill access, no better movement. They've got stab, which is wicked, but they've also got shadowing, which is of no use to anybody ever, regardless of what your movement is, really. Like, basically, it's your opponent moves out, you get to roll a 6 because it's just too hard to do the maths on anything else. No, something USB connected, disconnected.
Everything's running.
And then reconnected. No, it's on the stream PC.
Oh, well, that'd be fun to work out later.
I don't like that. Yeah, like the sneaky stabbers. You know, from going through like the Chaos Dwarf rosters, Ben, being almost twice the price of a hobgoblin means that this is only going to happen if you've got a tournament roster. Even then, you're going to go for assistant coaches at 30k.
I think so. I really thought they'd be movement 7.
Movement 7 would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
Or agility access, because then you're like, oh, I can actually build a dodge piece. I can do something different. But instead, you're paying almost twice as much for a hobgoblin whose sole goal is to stand next to something. Like,
yeah,
Ben, you've played Chaos Dwarves. Standing your hobgoblins next to something is not really a recipe for success, right? No,
you lose that hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Its armor rate doesn't last. Yeah, it's a pretty brutal one. It's just so expensive. Like 55k even would have been probably fine.
So look at gnomes, right? Where their gnomes are 40k and all the positionals are 50 or 55k, which means that they are just like, why would you not take them? A hobgoblin sneaky stabber at 50 or 55k, if you had that extra cash, you would always take one, right? Because again, like very much like flamesmith, like stab just gives you another out. Like that bludge gutter runner or that bludge war dancer is out. Actually, that's fine. That's an 8+. I don't care what skills you've got. It's just straight up. I can blitz you. I don't need to roll block dice. Nothing bad's going to happen. I just get a chance at a stab. Here, like the same is true, but you have to pay almost the price of 2 hobgoblins, and you want the 12 man because hobgoblins are just vampire thralls. They don't, I you know, when I was doing the team roster videos, I was like, right, if you take 12 men on this roster, you can end up with 10. Like at some point, like minimum, like you're going to lose 1 to 2 hobgoblins. It doesn't matter what happens. Like you're just going to go, if you've got a 12-man roster, you've got an 11-man roster. And if you've got an 11-man roster because one of them's a sneaky stabber whose mission is to go and stand next to stuff,
you've got the armor roll and die.
Yeah, you've got 9 hobgoblins. So I love the idea of it, and it'd be really fun to do it in a hobgoblin only team where you've got the cash left over. But I think this feels like the old Dark Elf Assassin where you're like, I'm going to take it, but I know it's worse, but I'm going to take it anyway, and it will do stuff. And I know, Ben, that we're missing some stuff where actually in some metas it's going to be insanely useful to have 2 stabs on the front line because you can put them both there with a bit of guard from your Chaos Dwarf, protect your sneaky stabbers, and then you can just go stab and have free armor goes. Like, I get it. There are going to be some cases where it's really useful, but
you pay a lot for it.
You're almost paying an extra reroll in value for 2 sneaky stabbers. So a bit of a miss. I love the models. I love the theme. I love the idea. They just need to be 50k or 60k. 60k would have been all right. You could have got one in the roster at 60k,
Yeah.
I think.
I was going to say, have you played around with the roster? You have, haven't you? You've done some roster working out. Do these guys just not fit?
They don't fit. They just
Yeah.
don't fit, because in a league that I haven't done tournament rosters, but
That's
in a league, you want the DF, like you want the dedicated fans.
you do.
You're not turbo scoring with Chaos Dwarf, so having an extra three dedicated fans, sorry, instead of a Hobgoblin Sneaky Stabber, that's just an extra 15k per game. Like it's...
Yeah, and you want to be built. You want to be buying those strength pieces, aren't you? You need to buy your Centaur or your Minotaur.
Yeah, however you build your team, you want 140,000 as quickly as possible to get the reroll you didn't take or the full Centaur you didn't take. Like, that's just how it goes with Chaos Dwarves. But yeah, it's an interesting one. So overall, Ben, what are your thoughts on the roster?
I like we said before, it's more interesting, it's more varied, there's more choices to make. It's not just by the two Centaurs, or in a tournament mindset, really, it's like two Centaurs and then the Dwarves. That's kind of what you want. Minotaur if you're feeling spicy. But I like that there's now more options. I think the Stabbers were a bit of a shame. The Flamesmith, I think, has some potential there. Movement 5 on a Dwarf is a big increase. Let's be honest, it's 25% increase in movement, so that's actually quite significant.
Yeah. Well, look at Bubs. Look at the Black Orcs versus the Big and Blockers. Yeah. Like that's the biggest point of movement, I think, in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn them. My Black Orcs should have movement 5.
They really should.
Yeah, then Black Orcs would be cooking. That'd be wicked. Unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this team. I think there's fun things. I really kind of want to play it with the Cannon Boy, Mad Eye.
Zarg Mad Eye.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of fun. And I like the idea of like shooting off a cage corner and breathing fire onto a ball carrier. I think that's just very, very Chaos Dwarf.
We can talk a couple of the star players now, actually. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go for that. Let's go to the news tab. So we've got Hathark the Unstoppable. I think we talked about him on the pod before when they spoiled some of his rules, but he's 300k, movement 6, strength 6, edge 4+, passing 6+, armor 10+. Block, break, tackle, defensive, juggernaut, loner, 4+, sprint, sure feet, thick skull. So he is a block, juggernaut, defensive, break, tackle piece. 300k is a billion money. His unstoppable momentum means every time he blitzes, he can re-roll a block dice. So he's a strength 6 blitzer that can always re-roll a block. So basically means he's always making 3 or 4 die blocks, essentially, like every time he blitzes. So if he's blitzing, he can do that. He can always blitz into the open on a 2+ with break tackle, which is really, really, really good. He's got block to keep him alive. 300k is a lot of money for a Chaos Dwarf team, but I see his value now. Like, I do see his value, because actually movement 6/9, blitz in at strength 6, you chuck 1 support on there, you're setting up a 3 die block with 1 reroll on one of those. It's not... He is probably the most consistent star out there.
Yeah, he's mega. I think having I would love to run this guy in Black Orcs. I think he would just be so much fun. Take a really like cheap Black Orc team and just let him loose. Because sometimes games like that are really great. Like when I had the opportunity to run Lutheran Vampires in a league, it just felt so fun to have that just really, really big guy that cannot be stopped.
150. No, trolls are 115, aren't they? So you could take him at a 1200 with basically a decent starting roster for Chaos for Black Orcs, and just he replaces your troll. You got no third teammate, but that's all right.
Yeah, or just take 2 Black Orcs in league and just rely on having him.
Yeah, I mean you could. Right, Zarg, here's your boy, Ben. So movement 4, strength 4, edge 4+, passing 3+, armor 10+, 130k, cannoneer, Hail Mary pass, loner, nerves of steel, secret weapon, sure hands, thick skull. So I'm going to start with the bad bits first. He is an edge 4+ sure hands piece with passing 3+, cannoneer and Hail Mary pass, which are just bad skills. He's got no pass reroll, so he's an edge 4+ sure hands piece at movement 4, which is not great. You're often better off just taking the 3+ pickup. I know that 4+ with a reroll is technically better, but yeah, I'd rather pick up with a Hobgoblin with movement 6 and an edge 3+ that I can burn a team reroll on. Hail Mary pass is potentially the worst skill in the game, because it is going to be -3 to your roll all the time, which means on a 1, 2, 3, or 4, you either fumble the ball or it shoots off in a random direction. On a 5 or a 6, it spirals, which is fine. But that's a Hail Mary pass is a 5+, otherwise it's bad for you. Cannoneer, passing 3+ means you're passing 3+, 4+, 4+, 5+, so that's not bad, but you don't have a reroll, so again, that's bad. The good bit though, strength 4 is decent enough, like that's quite fun to add for 130k. And then he's got his Then I Started Blasting power. So once per half for a secret weapon piece. At the start of his activation, Zarg may perform a blunderbuss special action. When he does, select a standing or position player within 3 squares of him and roll a d6. On a 3+, that player is hit. Immediately make basically stab them. On a 2, on a 1, he hits himself. On a 2, the opposing coach selects a player from either team, but not Zarg, within 3 squares of the originally selected player to be hit instead, which I think is wicked. So on a 1, he shoots himself. On a 4+, on a 3+, he shoots the target. On a 2, he shoots someone near the target that your opponent picks. If, I believe, the opposing coach selects a player within 3 squares of the original selected player to be hit instead, but not Zarg. If there is no other player for them to pick, I believe in that case they have to pick the target player.
Yes.
So
yeah,
if they're on their own, it's a 2+ stab, which is quite fun. Once per half though, with a secret weapon piece.
I just wish he wasn't see. It makes sense that he's secret weapon, but it makes it so much less exciting. I mean, he does look really bad. I don't think you're ever gonna like seriously want to take this guy. However, in that game where it works is going to be unforgettable. Like where he's just there and you're like, okay. Or what it would be is they have like a cage and you're like, okay, I'm going to target the ball, and then you roll a 2 and you're just like, oh, okay. And the coach picks like a corner of the cage and you kill that, and then you blitz around at the ball center and kill the guy in the middle anyway. It's just like that just feels really fun. But it's like rolling a d6 to get the opportunity to stab. It's just and then if you fail it, it's done.
And then
you don't get another try.
That's it. Nothing happens. Like, and I rolled a 7, so never mind. Like,
if it could like work once per half, do you know what I mean? Like, if it succeeds once per half, you can only do it once. But it's just like the fact that it could just do nothing and then that's it, and then you get sent off.
I love the
It's
theme.
like,
I love like the random thing of like choosing a different player and all that kind of stuff. I do really like that. They've gone hard on theme, low on power, and it's not Games Workshop's fault because he has historically always been a very confused player. Like strength 4, brilliant. Secret weapon, terrible. No combat skill, so strength 4 is just strength 4, which is bad on a star player. No pass means
also doesn't have Ironheart skin either.
No,
being a chaos
exactly. I mean, I don't think he does. That could have been me making typos again, but I don't think. I think so close. Rashnak is quite a lot of fun, but we don't have the model for him, so not really sure on the
yeah, he's like he's a stabber that looks like potentially worth taking, but yeah.
So rosters, the box. So looking at some team rosters for these guys. So if, like me, you went and bought your team and then you tried to buy other bits for your team and couldn't, this is what your roster is going to look like. 4 blockers, 2 flamesmiths, 2 sneaky stabbers, 5 hobgoblins, 3 rerolls, 13 players, 990. Obviously, you can drop both sneaky stabbers and take this. Well, you can't actually because you don't have enough hobgoblins. There's only 6 hobgoblins in the box. So what you can do though is use your sneaky stabbers just as line goblins, hobs, and then take 14. 14 is too many, I think. But this is out of the box your roster, Ben. Any thoughts on that? Being a previous Chaos Dwarf player.
Yeah, it's a challenge. This one would be a challenge, I think. And this is kind of leads to why I wish they had done the on sprue ball centaurs, because I just think they're so integral to the team. Both in like here, you're spending a lot of money in your team on stuff that isn't going to really help. Like spending your money on 2 stabbers, it's very much like you're just taking everything because you've got nothing else to take. it's yeah. I think it's just it's inefficient, which I think is fine if you're just learning the game. You picked up your Chaos Dwarves, you're excited, you paint them up, you run against your mate. I think you'll have a great time. But if you want to join a league, you're going to be struggling here because there's a lot of stuff to buy.
So what you can do, which I think we've both agreed is worse now than it used to be, and it used to be the worst of the two options, which is starting out with the Minotaur. Now for a bang on million, you can take 12 rostered players, 3 rerolls, 1 Minotaur, 4 blockers, 2 Flamesmiths, 5 Hobgoblins. So bang on a million. That, I don't think that's a terrible place to start, because obviously you can just pop a Centaur in instead. So you've kind of got, I think these are the two. This is where you start, right? Either do you want a Centaur or do you want a Minotaur? And then, what are your thoughts on actually always taking the Flamesmiths? Because they're 80k. Because they're 80k.
Yeah, I think it's better than spending that towards upgrading a Hobgoblin. Because it's 10k more, right? A blockers are 70, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess like looking at this, it's like I would maybe even consider dropping both and taking a Bull Centaur.
Yeah, that's that.
Which I think is how I ran my league. I think I had the Mino and the Bull and only had 4 Dwarfs, I think. Maybe even 2 rerolls.
So that is the interesting thing here about Chaos Dwarves is the Flamesmiths taking 4 Chorfs was reasonable, right? Because they're still really good. You got 4 good players on the line, and like exactly as you described, that means you could actually run the Centaur and the Minotaur, or a pair of Centaurs with 4 blockers. Do I do that? Yeah, here you go. So you've got a mid-range roster that comes in at 940, 11 players, you got a little bit of cash to play with. Minotaur, Bull Centaur, 4 blockers and a Flamesmith, and 4 Hobgoblins. You got 60k left over that you can either take an Apothecary or an extra Hobgoblin. Or you can drop the Flamesmith and take 2 Hobgoblins or whatever you want to do. But like, this is an interesting start because you've got 2 of your big guys. I'm going to refer to Centaurs as big guys. They're you know, they're obviously not, but they are. This kind of gives you a bit of everything, and then you've got that bit of cash to play. Like, do I take the Apothecary or do I take the Hobgoblin? So you can still sneak a Flamesmith in there. But
I think here I genuinely might drop the Flamesmith, buy a Hobgoblin, and get another reroll.
Yeah,
I think that would I think the Flamesmiths are nice for that option, like you say, and the movement 5 can be handy. But you've got a lot of strength already. Those blockers are going to level up as they are. You can potentially get Flamesmiths as extra dwarfs if you need them later on, but I think now it's less like it used to be quite fun where you can just buy another dwarf and it's another dwarf and they start out amazing.
Yep.
Now it's just like it's a tricky thing because it's like I want to take them because they're new and they're interesting, but I think that's why I want to take them. I think in terms of playing and winning games, especially in an early league, I think I'd just take the 3 rerolls and
so let's
ignore
get
it.
rid of that, add that. Oh, that did things on the screen.
We moved.
That is interesting.
Nice.
I don't really know how this is working. Maybe it's this button. Maybe it's this button. There you go. So dropping a Flamesmith and then taking a Hobgoblin comes in at 900. And we can buy
another reroll.
3rd reroll for 970, and then you can add a few DF.
Yeah, 30k on dedicated fans.
Oh, that's just so gutting that the bits that are missing are the new stars.
Yeah,
it's the new positionals.
Yeah, like for me, this is maybe even just 2 Centaurs instead of the Mino. Are they the same price, Mino and Centaur?
Minotaur's 150, Centaur's 130. So you can drop that down to a Bull Centaur and then take another Hobgoblin if you wanted to, or an Apothecary. So you could go 2 Centaurs and an Apo potentially.
I think that might be what I do actually.
Let's go.
Maybe I might not get the Apo. No, I probably would actually, because you're losing out on the fans. But you're probably saving that money when a player dies anyway. So
then take the Apo. I've done it again, haven't I? There we go. Where is the Apothecary? There we go. Let's borrow that. Let's drop that there. Ooh.
I quite like it when it's not optimized correctly.
That's not how we're doing it.
It was very appropriate.
Yeah. So 2 Centaurs.
I think this is what I'd take.
This is like just nothing's changed world.
Yeah, I know. It's really boring, isn't it?
It is like nothing has changed. It's like I'm gonna
I
take.
know it has changed. The blockers are worse.
Yeah, that's very true. You do get mutations, so that's the other thing I wanted to ask you about. Mutations on a double for the blockers and the centaurs. I actually,
Kind of interesting.
for the blockers, I think they could always get doubles, didn't they? They could always get mutation.
I feel like they could, yeah, because I think you used to get like the claw
Yeah.
on them.
I was gonna say that seems to be like you either go claw or mighty blow for your blockers, and that's absolutely fine. The centaurs getting mutations, while I think there's some really cool stuff, so you can give them 2 heads, so they're dodging out on an edge 3+. You can give them extra hands, extra arms, so they're picking up the ball on a 3+, which I think is quite useful. Realistically, I think block is just so important to a bull centaur.
Yeah.
That block is the first skill you take, regardless. And then you can kind of go, okay, I've got 2 centaurs. One I'm going to brew up to be my safety, probably take tackle, and then mighty blow and use him as your sweeper in the backfield. Or then you've got the other centaur where you go, do I want this guy to be a ball carrier? Do I want to give him sure hands? Do I want to give him pro to just be like a useful all-round piece? Like, it's a tough one, but 12 SPP for a bull centaur, it's not the most in the world, but really it's 14 SPP, because you should never, I think, take anything other than block. It's not fair. You can do it, but you need to know that you're losing EV. Like, sure hands is great, but on a 4+ piece, you're going to use it once or twice a game, and it's not going to be wonderful. Whereas block, you're going to use like 10 of the 16 turns minimum with your strength 4 piece. Like,
and like, from my experience running them, as I built one. The first skill I gave him was sure hands, because I'm just like, this is going to be the ball carrier. This is going to score all the touchdowns. And in every single time, the one I gave block to just was better. The blitzer was better, because he was just like, I basically I would roll those like 4+ pickups, pick up on Hobgoblin, and then score that way instead. And he just wasn't getting the extra SPP. Like, it's great when it happens, and they're actually really quite good ball carriers. But then you also need stuff like break tackle, because they just get tagged, and then you're using your blitz on them anyway, and you don't have block for it. So like you need a lot of stuff to supplement it. And I think the same with the mutations. Like, in every mutation you'd kind of want to consider on them, I think you'd want something else to supplement, and then it becomes very expensive when you could just build a block sure hands guy. Oh, sorry, a block break tackle guy. It's awesome.
Break tackle's not brilliant on these guys. That's only a 3+. They only get +1, don't they?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, true.
Back in the olden times, they would dodge at edge 4, which would have been a 2+, which would have then you're talking business. Like back when we did first 7 Super Series, when the trees with break tackle were edge 6, it was like just walk it. Like, that is a rule they need to bring back. Just straight up, just be like, no. If you're going to give your tree man break tackle, he gets to ignore all the tackle zones. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But so I like that they've got them. There's going to be some people that have some fun with mutations, I think. That's cool. I think what I really like about what they've done with the Chaos Dwarf team is they've just given the players a load of choices to make, and I think this is a point at which we need to remind players that it's okay to take suboptimal things, and it's okay to enjoy and try different things out. I think Chaos Dwarves, because they were really high performing, and they were solved, I think, because the Team of Legend, like, the team hadn't changed really for 12, 16 years. Chorfs were solved, which is why I think I never found them particularly interesting, because I was like, like, you need 2 skills on this team. One's guard and one's block, and that's it. And I was like, that's
pretty much.
But now you've got the Flamesmiths, where it's like, okay, do I want to go pro to make my flamey more important, or to just mean that my brawler hits are slightly better? And then you've got the Stabbers, where you're like, do I want to lose a bet with a friend and have to run them on the pitch? It's
oh, it's so missed. I was so excited for them.
I was too. I was like, this could be cool. This could be like the Chameleon Skink, the best example of this that they've done, right? Where the Camo Skink is a choice, but one you really think about, because you're like, okay, right, it's 10k more, it is slower, but they do stuff, and actually it's cool to use them. And we've seen it with Yoshi, who you will be piloting tonight, Ben. In the final.
He's alive?
Huh? Is he alive?
Alive?
I think he's alive, yeah.
I think he is, yeah.
He's got a niggling injury, maybe? I don't know. But the
Yeah.
point is, it's a choice. It's a choice. Whereas the stabbers are. I tell you what, my question to you is: do you think they've costed them that way to be as low impact as possible? Because Chorfs have always been a high performing team, and they're a little bit afraid of making them even stronger.
Possibly. Yeah. They do not feel like a tier 1 team anymore. I will say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of clamoring for them to be tier 2. I think they'll look. The Centaurs are still great, and from what we looked at with your roster, like nothing has changed. You can take 2 Centaurs, 4 blockers, a bunch of Hobgoblins, and in that regard, yeah, actually tackle.
That's quite huge for like just killing stuff. Yeah. It just makes it so much harder to remove players and get like turnover opportunities. It's a big one. I don't think you're still going to be taking it as the first skill on them because you probably just want guard. But
I think tackle, right. I think Hobgoblins taking random generals is the solution to this team. 1 rolls sure hands. Cool. Got a ball carrier now. 1 rolls block. Okay, he goes on the line maybe. I've got a movement 6 blocker now. That's really useful. One of those guys takes tackle. It means you don't have to worry about putting tackle on a bull centaur, which I think.
Dwarf, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to put tackle on a blocker ahead of guard or mighty blow / claws. Because tackle isn't always useful, especially with.
It's often redundant.
Yeah, well, especially with the movement 4 piece. Like, I'm not being funny, but like, if you're putting your blockers back as your linebackers, they're edge 4+. They're not going to be able to escape to get that tackle to where they need it to be. Really, like I think it's such a useful like freebie but I think instead of something where you're like guard, which will help me with my plan, like tackle was always just like, okay, I can build towards my plan, and now I've got tackle too. Don't worry about it. But now it's like if I take tackle, I'm inhibiting that front line potentially.
Yeah, it's like a team like Blackhawks. You never consider taking tackle on them. Like you never consider it. So it's like we're only really talking about it because they had it.
Yeah.
But like realistically, yeah, you just wouldn't be up there in choices you take.
It's tackle's a great skill for a blitzer, not a great skill for a blocker. Like that's your guard mighty blow piece, and they are still going to be absolutely filthy. But like, yeah, you got to get tackle on a hobgoblin. I think.
Yeah.
Or you go for the block tackle bull centaur, but then mighty blow is going to be just as useful. I don't know, it's tough. It is tough. They have had a downgrade. Whether they are still in the top 10 teams, I think it's going to be tough. I think they might be looking at 13, 14 now out of Blood Bowl. And I don't think that's bad because they've done a great job with the models. Like the models look great. Forge World difficulties to buy things aside, because there's a ton of third-party stuff out there.
Did you see Punga have revealed their models that they've made for the supplement? They've got Flamesmiths and Stabbers now.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Oh, we got yours. We got your conversions to use.
It's such a stretch of the word conversion, but yeah.
Hey, it works. No, look, I like the roster. I like that it is less powerful. I think the closer to the middle they get with all the teams, the more engaging games you have. So in that regard, I think it's great. If I was maining Chorfs, I think I'd be gutted a little bit, but I don't. So I can't think about it like that.
Yeah.
But I do get it. I think though, for a new player coming at it, there's a load of interesting stuff, and I think that'll be, I imagine, how Games Workshop is looking at this. Like, here's a team, let's make it so that everyone who's never played them will look at it and go, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is fun. Cool. Yeah. Oh, that's
I've got a friend who's just she's just starting out with Blood Bowl with the Chaos Dwarves because they appeal, and loves all the stuff like the stabbing hobgoblins and the flamesmiths. It just looks really fun, and I think that's really important. So yeah, that like box roster looks appealing.
Can't see.
Although I've already on them off with a Brute Fund Minotaur. So.
I was gonna say I can't see the stabber anywhere here. Then I can't on your roster.
Yeah, this is the one I recommend new players start with.
Yeah,
look at the fun stuff and cast it aside.
Yeah.
Worry not.
I mean, we're gonna have to, I think, do something like this, but drop a flamesmith and take a stabber just to get all the bits on
on the
pitch.
channel.
Yeah, just because.
Yeah, on the channel we'll do a fun one.
Yeah, I think it has to be.
I don't want to play the other one on the channel. I'm talking like if I want to lose friends at League. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right, I think we're good to go. I think we're good to wrap up for now. What is there anything else we're waiting for? I think Rashnak's model isn't out, and
yes,
now it's just waiting for the. Well, it'd be too late to get the Bull Centaurs. I'm just going to print off some Realm of Paths ones.
yeah.
And the spike to drop, so we get all the league rules, because there's league rules in this spike that I'm quite interested to see, because if they're good, we'll either use them for 7 Super Series or Bonehead Championship next year. Because
that will be fun.
We have not done that before, and like this feels like
I want to play in the realms of Pursuit.
Exactly, the Wasteland Leagues. Wicked. All right, Ben. Thank you very much for hanging out and talking Blood Bowl.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, we are very intrigued, so let us know in the comments or in the Discord how you're feeling about Dwarf, because it is a spicy meatball. Anyway, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.